Hey NorCal, what's up? It is Monday, April 7th. So we are already in April. We are doing our NorCal Mondays recap show. We're going to be talking about ROK Sonoma over the weekend and a little bit about Santa Maria as well. That's where Josh and I were. In addition to the Egan wedding. So shout out Tyler and Ashley. We're super excited for you guys. But on tonight's episode, we're going to do a calendar recap. I'm going to bring on our special guest who just couldn't stay away. And we are going to have Hank and Jameson join us to continue our discussion that we started last week on racecraft. So Josh is in the studio as well. I'm going to bring him up in a second, but it is NorCal Mondays. Here we go. Hello.
Hi. What's up, NorCal? How are you guys? It's the NorCal Karter, Josh Velos. Back at it. So
we got
there you go. Got Shifley in the house already. So
Angel's here. What's up?
Everyone's here on time this time. Shout out to Angel, not late to the party. Tardy kid to class. What's up, Ridgely? Yeah. I'm glad to see you all here tuning back in for our little racecraft discussion. We're going to have a buddy of mine, Hank Webster, another buddy of mine, Jameson Gwinnup, two local rising stars that we have out of Northern California and Central California, and kids trying to make a name for themselves. So
we all know who you are here to see tonight, our special guest who couldn't stay away. Are we ready? Please, 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 please put it in the comments how excited you are to see him again.
Food connoisseur himself.
Extra Kart Parts Studio is back in the NorCal Mondays lineup, so we are excited. What's up, Calvo?
What's up, Jerry?
There we go. We're all the Jason Berry fans. Put it in the chat. Jason Berry is back.
I didn't tell my mom I was going to be on tonight.
Oh, see?
Man, that's who we're missing.
That's one less like on Facebook.
Walter better be watching this.
Yeah, Walter can throw us like 50 stars, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Walter, where are you at? We know you're watching. But we had to bring Jason Berry back just because we were definitely splitting the NorCal, SoCal scene over the weekend. Jason was at ROK Sonoma. We were at Santa Maria. So we're going to get into that in a second. But put it in the comments if you're here to see Jason. Put it in the comments if you're here in general. But yeah, so quick recap of the calendar for the rest of April before we get started. Next up, I think there's a race in Dixon this weekend. And then Prairie City, I believe, is the weekend after that. Both of those you can find info about on their Facebook pages, All-Star Karting at Prairie City and Kinsman Kart Club. So on their Facebook pages is where they've been posting their updates. But the next race that NorCal Karters will be at is Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma, our house, rounds 5 and 6. It's not peer pressure. It's just time to register. So register now for Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma. You can find the link at the actual page they're using now is Shinko Karts USA, or you can go on to challengekarting.com and register there. But it's time to register, y'all. So here we go. We got Crystal. Crystal's here. What's up, Crystal?
So let's remember the challenge deadline is 4/15, y'all. All right, that's next Tuesday. So you'll have, one more maybe NorCal Monday show to get your reminder in. But don't forget, the Challenge of the Americas deadline is April 15th. That's next Tuesday at midnight.
Yes, and we are going to try to be doing a special trackside episode while we're there with all of our NorCal teams that are pretty much home base Sonoma as well. So depending on if we can get all of our stuff up and working, we are going to be doing that from Sonoma with a special announcement. So be sure to follow NorCal Karters for that. But yes, Challenge of the Americas rounds 5 and 6 will be at the end of the month. And then we are already into May. So we're getting into summertime. It's going to be the first weekend of May. We're going to have the CCKRA Fast Tech Fast Lap Fiesta at Button Willow. And the only excuse I'll accept for not being there is that you will be at the ROK Sonoma Triple Crown 1, round 2. So CCKRA at Button Willow or ROK Sonoma. Those are your two options, folks. So, yeah, Jason, where have you been at?
Where have I been? I've been away. Is the mic working? So I have a whole different setup going on right now. But this past weekend, ROK Sonoma, round 1. It was a lot of fun. I was out there Friday, Saturday with GFC Karting, and under his tent, under Ron White's tent, under Speed Sense tent, the Karting Collective, the teams that have been there for the past few years that have really supported ROK Sonoma. I saw a lot of new faces, and Crevino.
Okay. Oh God, you butchered his name, didn't you?
You need to bookmark that comment because I'm going to come back to that. So all the big teams that have been supporting ROK Sonoma for the past couple of years, or 6 years now, 7 years, who knows? They all had new faces, and for me, it was easier to see the new faces under Gary's tent. And I was working with a couple of new guys myself that they've never raced a kart. Ron White had those guys, and going down the entry list, they were close to 80 entries overall at ROK Sonoma, and you have your regulars, right? And you're going through, and there are some on there. I was looking at these names, like, this is fantastic. I have new names to butcher. So I'm pretty encouraged that a lot of the racers that didn't show up at the first round, they actually had pretty legitimate reasons, and they're going to be back for round 2 and round 3. So Sonoma's looking really good right now. So I'm excited. But yeah, can I go back to the Cravenho comment?
Yeah.
So they've been supporting ROK Sonoma for a couple of years. I know for a fact for a couple of years I've been saying it's Cravenho. And Jackson made it on the Jackson or Mason?
Jackson. Jackson.
I need to double check that. Was on the podium, and the dad goes, "Hey, do you think you can say my kid's name right?" And it's like, I was puzzled. When he said is Crevino, my brain is going, Crevino? I've never seen that name on an entry list. And I'm going through, it's like, oh, well, yeah.
That's
how you pronounce it.
Crevino?
Crevino.
Oh, that's good to know, because I've always pronounced it Crevino, so that's good to know.
It's Crevino. So
all right.
There was a lot of good laughs over the weekend, but that one really stood out at the end of the day when we were doing the podiums. It's like, yeah. And if you're at Sonoma or I'm at a race and I'm doing announcing and I'm butchering your name, please let me know. Come up to me. And the way my brain works, it's very, however I see it, that's how I'm going to call it. So I do have a cheat sheets in the tower when I write the names phonetically. So but let's see. So that was that side story. But no, a lot of new faces. That was the big story.
I mean, that's
at the event. Yeah, Josh?
That's exciting that, ROK Sonoma still, has support the new karting community, right? That we have new people going out there and supporting our local shops that have, you know, what we want to call brick and mortars, like you said, the Karting Collective, the Ron Whites, the Speed Sense, the GFCs, right? I mean, these are guys that are, you know, have been staples there for a long time, and it's good to see them getting some new life there, right? And that series still having a spark of life. I mean, it's exciting.
It is. And I can definitely go on a tangent on some of it, so you please cut me off. But
no, we're going to later, because I mean, I think we got that same energy going across the state, to be honest. I mean, we see it in the central region this past weekend, with a lot of younger kids, to be honest. Not so much the older guys, but a lot of the younger generation I'm seeing getting into go-kartings, and that just feeds the next classes.
Well, and one of the dads that, you know, his kid race, I'm not going to call him out.
No, we're good.
Nah, it's not bad. It just they're not supporting the series right now. Not political, nothing bad. It was just he pulled me aside and he goes, "Hey, I don't want this to come off wrong, but you know, my kid's racing on the East Coast." And say, and I go, I understand, right? When you have a certain amount of money and you're spending it and you're trying to move your kid into a car or whatever you're doing, you have a certain amount of time frame. But if you look at how many of our West Coast drivers are going east because the competition is on the East Coast, you're adding to that. Like you're pulling talent away to go on the East Coast instead of, you know, keeping that talent on the West Coast and saying, hey, well, let's agree to race these events. Let's agree to do this. Why do we have teams going all the way across the country when they're based in California? You're part of the problem. I do get it. If you're looking at it and the entry list has 4 people and you don't really want to race them, but all your buddies that you live 2 hours from are driving across the East Coast, I think it's cheaper to race in California than flying and driving across the country. But I could be wrong.
So Shiflet mentioned big micro class last weekend. And this is what Josh was kind of mentioning too. Like the CCKRA race, we had 21 juniors, and then to be honest, I can't remember how many pilots now. And at Santa Maria, same thing. That class was the biggest class out there. So while yes, I'm excited about that because juniors are the rising stars of the group. I'm calling out like seniors, shifters. Where are you guys at? Because masters, because these are the kids that are getting the content. These are the kids that are getting all the airtime right now because we have classes of 21. We have classes of, I think micro was like 18 or something like that. Yeah. So, or 14. Yeah. 14. So, I mean, come on, we're calling everybody out in the bigger classes. We love our juniors and our micros, so keep that going. But guys, they're showing you up here. One more note about ROK Sonoma before we move on to the next topic. Online registration is open and the pre-entry deadline is also the 15th. Entries posted after the deadline are going to be subject to a late entry fee. I believe they're also on Race Select. NorCal Karters is an affiliate for Race Select. So if you are a club or a series that is looking for registration or any online registration type program like this, please let me know so I can put you in contact with the people over at Race Select and they can help you. I've been helping out a lot with the development of our stuff over here, so everything's very personalized and super easy. It's similar to Motorsports Reg is the feedback that we've been getting, so don't worry, it's easy. For example, Challenge of the Americas is on there, so you can go to raceselect.com/COTA/2025, and you can register for Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma. So do that, and then let me know what you think. And
Sub Drew.
Everything is there to. We're here to help make things easy, and we're also here to bridge the gap between all these companies that bring their services out here. So again, please reach out to us if you're interested in Race Select, Motorsports Reg, Alpha. So Alpha, I don't know that much about Alpha. Good question though, Brian. I do know that Tri-C has switched over to Alpha. So I am going to be sort of talking to Trish and getting some feedback and sort of stuff with them. But I know that Race Select in the spring is going to be very similar to Alpha. So if you're trying to decide between the two, I'm not here to peer pressure you, but I can help you with Race Select. So
I know ROK Sonoma has been using Alpha for, I believe, 2 years now. So there is that. They have stuck with that, and I think they've helped develop that. So for what it's worth, I know ROK Sonoma is pretty set with that.
I think they're on Race Select also too now.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Sonoma?
Yeah.
No, they were on the Alpha app.
They were on the Alpha app. That's where I got my results from.
So, okay, we do have a question. Anyone know how Gianni is doing? And then Shiflet is responding. So I'm assuming Gianni's the kid that got transported from ROK Sonoma. And Shiflet's giving us an update. No broken bones, just moving slower. Glad to hear that. Thank you for the update, Brian. If anybody has any other information, please let us know, because again, we are here for all of our NorCal drivers.
Never did get hurt, so yeah, best wishes.
Yeah. So when he was transported, he was transported by a family member. So the ambulance stayed on site. When he had left the track, a family member had taken him to the hospital just to be checked over. But then I haven't heard anything else. But I have to admit, I didn't see it. I had walked away to take a quick break, and it was not a good one. So it was good to see that he was able to, leave the track on his own power and go home with a family member.
No, absolutely.
Is that Gianni Tolson?
I have to look on the list. That sounds right. Let's see here.
Okay. Yes. Please keep this. Please keep us please keep us updated. Okay, we're getting comments in. Last sort of recap, and then we're going to bring in our panel, and then we'll keep the discussion going. NCK Road Racing, they are getting ready for their Thunder Hill race in July 12th and 13th. You can go on to NCK Road Racing, and I believe they're doing a discount for Thunder Hill, as well as an early entry for the IKF Road Race Grand Nationals at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So I apologize if I'm getting that discount wrong. If I am wrong, just let me know. But again, there is a April 30th deadline to put in your deposit for the IKF Road Race Grand Nationals in September. So NCKRoadRacing.com. All the info is going to be posted there. And I believe Mark is going to be doing a live sometime this week or next week. I'm not.
He pushed it out a week.
Okay, so next week. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you can either put them in the comments or wait for Mark Morrison's live. Mark Morrison is the president of NCK Road Racing, so he's going to be answering all your questions. And also preparing for summertime, Kart Project X, KPX is coming back in the summer. So they're going to be having 3 races in the summer. NorCal Karters is partnering with KPX. So we are going to be doing a special contest with them as well. But I'm hoping to have Chris Rossi on possibly this week, by the end of the week, so that way we can get some info out about KPX, but KPX is coming back in the summer, so let's plan ahead for that. You can go to the KPX Facebook page for all the info, and they are also a Hoosier series, just like CCKRA and Santa Maria, so shout out Hoosier Kart Sport, because they're definitely taking care of us this year, and you can get all of your Hoosiers from your Hoosier dealers as well. So we are going to be bringing in our panel that we so we have VLR driver Hank Webster, so he's going to be joining us right here, bringing him up. Hey Hank.
Okay.
You can go ahead and there you go, unmute. So Hank Webster is going to be joining us on our panel, and we have GFC driver Jameson Gwinnett joining us tonight as well. So we got Jameson and Hank. We'll start with each one of you. We'll go over some questions with them, and then we'll get into our racecraft discussion panel. I am going to be checking the comments, so we're going to do a quick little ish. Here we go. Heather Gwinnett, Lightning Alpha. All right. Sounds good. Timing issues, Sonoma. Not sure what that was related to. Probably because he was there. And glad Gianni is better. Yes.
The timing issue is the infamous wet timing loop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sonoma.
Yeah.
The rivers of Sonoma, baby.
Yeah. So on the fly, what they ended up doing was there's 2 loops on the track. So they ended up using the loop coming on the straightaway as the official loop, and then doing the starts at the start finish line, so kids weren't doing 900 miles an hour going into turn 1.
Hey, that works. I mean, safer is better, right?
It worked out once it was communicated that the checkered would be at the end. So Phil Hand got his steps in. Shout out to Phil Hand for running back and forth on the straightaway.
Our favorite flag man.
Phil Hand. Phil and Bill. Was Mark out there too?
Mark was there. Bill was running the grid. Yeah.
My dudes. All right. Put it in the Phil, if you're here, put it in the comments. Say what's up. Team Phil Hand over here in the house. But let's get it started. We are going to let our panel introduce ourselves. We'll start off with Hank. Hank, who are you and where are you from?
Well, I'm Hank Webster and I am from Lompoc, California.
All right. And how'd you get into karting?
I come from a family who are into motorsports. My dad raced mini stock and late models, and my grandfather raced a sedan Class C Anglia. Excellent. And my dad also drove karts for a short period of time.
How old were you when you started karting?
I want to say 10 or 11.
Oh, okay. And now? And you're how old now?
I am 14 now.
Okay, cool. All right. So you've been karting. You have some experience, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, what would you say your home club is?
My home club, which I have had the privilege to flag at on multiple occasions, is Santa Maria Karting Association.
All right, SMKA. Shout out SMKA. I think Michael Dean's on here too.
That's cool. Do you like it? Like, do you like working as opposed to racing? I mean, just out of curiosity, I don't want to get too far off track yet, but do you like it? Does it?
Yeah, it's so much fun to go and help out at the track.
Okay, especially somewhere where you grew up racing, right? Learning the fundamentals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Does it give you a new perspective into like a different side of karting, or are you just like, oh, I didn't know all this went into it. Like what's the transition like?
It does give a bit of a new perspective. It shows kind of what does go on behind the scenes and what you don't see as a driver.
And I do have to say, so I worked with Hank at one of the Santa Maria races, and he is turning into an excellent flagman. So that was pretty impressive. There was one class in particular where the leader was lapping a lot of, well, it was a kid class, but so the leader was lapping a bunch of kids, and he was like, wait, and I go, okay, you just hold the flag and I'll point because all these kids are getting lapped. So there's only one time where he was just like, what do I do? So
Yeah.
I was super impressed working with you, and I'm excited to see you out there as well. And you've been doing a great job so far, dude. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you are following Henrik Webster Racing on Instagram, we have been seeing your transition into cars. So tell us a little bit about that and what you just did recently at Buttonwillow and all that.
It's been a little bit of a difficult transition trying to plan and see what we're going to do with karts as we slowly do more and more of cars. And I just recently at Buttonwillow Raceway Park went and got my SCCA race license. And I'm going to transition into hopefully racing Spec Miata.
Okay. Just
right.
did anything you learn just for any new go-karters that are interested in following in the same steps you did to get their SCCA license? What were some of the biggest things you took away from go-karting that you applied that kind of helped you? Because, I mean, speaking to your parents and just you, it was kind of, for lack of better words, it was kind of a breeze, right? I mean, you went through it pretty easy. You were prepared, for lack of better words, right? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to let you say it in your own words, but
no, yeah, being from karting helps a lot. It helped me decide when and where to push and to get a general idea of a race line as I learn the track.
All right. Cool.
All right, excellent. Thanks for joining us. MD, we're wondering if you're going to be at Pro Kart this weekend. Everybody's wondering if you're going to be at Pro Kart this weekend. So put it in the chat, Michael. And if you're not Michael, put it in the chat where you're going to be at this weekend, because we want to know where you guys are racing at. Jameson, let's transition into your intro. Who are you and where are you from?
My name is Jameson Gwinnett, and I'm from Shingle Springs, California. I guess that's good.
All right, how'd you get into karting?
I got into karting in 2022, so I've kind of always had a love for racing. My family's grown up around it a lot. My great uncle, Gene Woods, was a ex NASCAR driver, so it's awesome to get to know him and have that experience and get to learn with him and do this kind of together, although I don't get to see him too often. But yeah, kind of always loved racing. Went out, bought my first go-kart, and I've kind of just hammered at it ever since then.
Do you have any sort of aspirations as for one way or the other, whether you want to go maybe towards the circle track side or maybe towards like the road course side, or maybe obviously Formula One or something like that? I mean,
that's a good question. I guess at the end of the day, for me, if I'm racing a car, I'm having a good day. So I've always loved Formula cars, but on the other hand, I also love Grand Tour stuff all the way to, sports cars and all of it. So yeah, then again, if I'm in a car, probably having a really good day. So kind of open to anything, but I think if it was my pick, I'd want to pursue the Formula car route.
All right. So what is your home club and what series do you race?
So home club in terms of distance and where I've raced in the past, you could consider All-Star Karting at Prairie City, but I'd call my home club now probably ROK Sonoma, because that's where I do primarily all my racing now, or all my club racing at least.
Okay.
All right. And you joined us at Challenge of the Americas this year. This was your first year?
That's true. Yeah, this has been my first year at Challenge. So last year I got to do some experience and got to go to Vegas at the end of the year, which was awesome. Got to experience Pro Kart, which was an epic series, and did a little bit of the kind of national and regional stuff last year. But it's been really awesome to be out in that 40 plus go-kart national field where nobody there is just showing up to. I mean, everybody wants to have fun, but nobody's there just to, I'm racing this weekend. Everybody takes it seriously. It's a serious field with teams that are, ready to perform. So it's been an awesome environment.
And how, not to interrupt anybody else, but how was it transitioning from, say, like the club racing atmosphere where, you show up and you have those people that are learning and first timers and, to the regional series, what we can say is Sonoma, which is probably one of the strongest ROK Sonoma regional / semi-national series. And then you graduate to something, say, Challenge or, the Vegas races, which are national caliber series. What's that been like? Talk to the racers. Talk to us about a little bit of the transition in your eyes on how it's been as a racer.
So I'd say the biggest thing is it's just a lot tighter field. You have to get really comfortable with having someone on your bumper, both in front and behind you. So it's very much, you always hear it before you go, and you always hear it before you sometimes move up to senior or whatnot. But you always hear pass or be passed. And until you actually do it, I don't think anybody ever actually understands what that means. There's no kind of staying where you are. You have to be moving forward or you're moving back, especially at national events. So unless you are making forward progress, you can't just really stay where you are. So it's a much more cutthroat, kind of aggressive environment, and you have to be ready to kind of handle that.
One more question before we move on is how have your coaches and learning to do like analyzing your videos and maybe your data and stuff like that, how does that how important are those things to you when you start to move on and you do want to focus on trying to find like those extra little hundredths and tenths? Is that something that you focus on?
Absolutely, yeah. Data has been a massive help for me, especially, for example, at Vegas last year. That's one of the reasons we were capable of getting such a great result there, especially on my debut. So that was an honor. Also, getting to just hear the words and get to be around Gary himself is just awesome for me. He's such a great guy, so much knowledge. It's insane. So another great resource is Sunny on GFC. Sunny is the one that always does data and video with me. And he's super great at explaining things. So whether you're one of the fastest guys and he's just giving you straight up tips, or whether you are going over video compared to a quicker guy or data, he can always kind of help you. So that's been a huge part in how I've gotten faster over the last year. And all of my thank yous go to GFC 100%.
Perfect. Move on.
All right, Team GFC, shout out. Okay, so Jason, is there anything you want to ask our panel before we get into our discussion, our racecraft discussion?
This question is going to lead right into racecraft.
Okay.
Jameson, what happened in the main event yesterday?
That's a really good question, Jason. So my main event was actually going pretty great. We were up in the draft of the lead group. So was running P4 right behind, I believe it was Colby and Flavio. So had a good fight with Colby. Always a great time racing against those guys. That was awesome. And then, we're on the last lap. There's 2 corners left. We're going into Monaco at Sonoma, which is, for people who don't know, the tightest hairpin at that track. So you come in pretty quick, hard braking, turn out of it, and it's a run down to the last turn and then the finish line. So going into Monaco, I went super hard defensive because I got a bad run out, and my goal was to get a run on Colby and Flavio going into the last turn. But a driver behind me thought there was a gap between me and the white line still, when there, in my opinion, definitely wasn't. And he went for a move that led to a little bit of a pileup in Monaco, where I dropped back from 4th to, I believe, 7th it ended up being. And he went into, I believe, Colby and a few other guys. So it was definitely a rough move. I don't know if I saw the end goal there, but yeah, that's kind of what happened in my main event. It kind of sucked to get it all taken at last second after going so well, but stuff happens. It's racing.
Yeah, you were running top 5 all day, and I think there was 6 of you going into Monaco. I was like, I'm thinking this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. And I think I even called it. And I said, Gwyn up gets screwed. Then I had to apologize for my language because it wasn't like a huge pile up where carts were flying everywhere, but it was enough where James got, he lost 3 or 4 spots, and the momentum of that group got shuffled back. And
Yeah,
it was 6 carts fighting for that same number 3 spot.
Yeah, I mean, on the racing line in Monaco, you're already super low in the RPM, and if you're making any sort of overtake in there or any sort of move off the line, you're going to be really low in RPM. So the minute there was a shuffle up, everybody was just stuck bogging, trying to get off the line back into the final turn.
Yeah, to me, I mean, calling it, I kind of chalked it up to hard tag racing. I mean, that's just we've all seen a lot worse, but it's like, being it was you and you had such a good weekend going on, I felt for you because, like, oh man, it's like that would have been some good, a good kind of a mental push for you. It's like, man, that was a solid weekend.
Definitely, I felt great. Felt really on point. We obviously had the speed to run with a lot of the guys up there. I personally felt like I had the speed to run away from that group if I got myself out in front. But didn't swing our way that weekend. It's all right. We're gonna come back for the next weekend and hopefully get on that podium.
Yeah, there was a lot of good racing. And real quickly for the younger drivers out there or the families that are looking into it, there's 14 micros. In the past, Sonoma has run micro and mini together. This weekend, they actually separated micro and mini out. And one of my favorite races to call was probably the pre-final race of the mini rock class. It was Aiden Go, Cole Anderson, and Kylie Johnson. And the 3 of them, you could not race any harder cleanly, if that makes sense. Those kids, they were rubbing, they were pushing, they were being very respectful. And you got to keep in mind, they're 9. They're 9 years old. I think all 3 of them are the youngest minis out there. Like they're young kids. And I'm sorry, it was Koa.
Koa. I was like, okay.
Anderson was in the other group. Sorry, thank you, Koa. It was Koa, Aiden, and Kylie. And it was it's so fun to watch. And that, like, you're watching these little kids racing better than anything you're seeing at the national level with a lot of respect. So
that kind of leads me
my
back.
favorite one to call.
Hold on one second. Hank, you're going to get to ask Josh how his race was this weekend. So.
What? This Josh right here?
Yeah. Hank, go ahead. Ask Josh about his race.
Oh, no. How was your race this weekend?
It was good. I mean, so in my defense, I showed up Sunday and bolted it together. All right, that shouldn't be a defense, but I did. And I knew the track, I knew the gear, went out, slowly got better throughout the day, started the final in 4th, went through turn 1. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I don't feel like anybody did anything wrong. But if you've been to Santa Maria, it was pretty tight. And I tried to, push the guy on the outside, obviously, through the second part of turn 2, through the S's on the outside. And when we started to run out of room, I started to kind of tuck back in the line. And when I felt like I got in the brake to kind of lift off the throttle, I got driven through behind me and somebody ran over the back of me. And from then on, the first 2 carts went off, and from 3rd back was a nightmare. Yeah. By the time I got rolling out of turn 1, I think I was in like 11th or 12th, and I drove back up to 4th. But quick shout out to, Mike Dean and MD3, the comp car dealer in Santa Maria. for hooking me up with the go-kart and giving me the opportunity. Santa Maria Kart Club for having me out there. That was pretty fun. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it. But we could kind of lead us into our next racecraft discussion, because getting back on Jameson's point, like he said, he went down to the bottom, right? I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't see the race. I don't have a video of it, nothing like that. But the way I understand it is, you're saying you went down to the bottom and you defended, and you basically, for lack of better words, got rooted out of the way, right?
I mean, I'd say I left maybe between me and the white line half a cart length, half a cart width, I guess you could say, if that. And I don't even know how he didn't spin before the corner. He must have been half in the grass. So I'm not quite sure how it happened behind me. All I know, I got ran into, Colby got hit. It was a mess.
Now here's what I want to lead into. Is that what you want? What you think? Like, if you were in the opposite defense, put yourself in the devil's advocate position. Do you think that's the way you want to be raced? Like we talked a little bit earlier. Like, is it respect? Is it lack of knowledge? Do these people just not know that that's not a good move? Or is it just straight up they don't respect the fact that you're there and they want the win more than they respect you?
I mean,
and I'll let each of you answer it in your own way.
I think in this instance, it wasn't a respect issue. I talked to the driver after, and he says it was a total misjudgment. He apologized. Everything's completely fine there. I guess for me, just the biggest thing is I didn't quite understand what his goal was. To my understanding, he was the last driver of the train we were in, or second to last. And so I'm not quite sure why he was riding inside on more of a defensive line and why he wouldn't open up the corner. Because if we were to pile up by ourselves, he would have had a monster run on us out of there. So I guess I didn't quite get why he was on the inside, on the bottom. But my kind of bottom line is, if someone's clearly going defending, clearly going down to that white line, if there's not space, there's not space. So you can sit on their bumper and defend with them, but you can't try to make it 3 wide. You can't try to, just because you think this is your moment, squeeze in there. If there's not room, there's not room.
And Hank?
Well, again, if they didn't know, again, I guess there's other ways you could know, but it's kind of a trial by fire to kind of understand that you can't really do that, or just seeing it. Somebody has to kind of make the mistake for you to know.
Okay. Now, how do you feel like if it's like a contrary position where, and now I'm going to play devil's advocate for the driver, and I'm going to say I was there and you put me down in the marbles, and when I got on the brakes, now I have stuff on my tires, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you can play a lot of defense to that too, right? And I'm just going both ways as a racer, right? Like what I want to know is more, do you guys like the concept of being able to white line and go to the bottom, or do you think that you shouldn't be able to do that? Would you rather just see somebody have to go in and have to get the car slowed down to pass you and give you the opportunity to just cross them over and say race back up the hill into Manmaker? If you haven't been to Sonoma, that's out of the last corner, up the hill into the last corner leading onto the front straightaway. I just kind of want to talk to you guys on racecraft about this, and how do you guys think that you want to be raced versus how do you think you want to see the next generation lead up? Because do you guys want to be my age and see kids that are your age that are professionals? Because chances are somebody in your age group is going to be a professional. Okay, 3 out of the 5 kids that I raced with growing up with are IndyCar, sports car drivers, some sort of professional race car drivers, right? So chances are you're going to get that opportunity. So I just kind of want to know your guys' opinion on, what do you want to see? Like, how do you want to see this evolving for the next generation?
I think that's definitely a great question, and it definitely is thought-provoking for sure. So it's kind of to go off the, should you defend? Is that okay? I guess is kind of the way to go with that. Is like, I think defending is absolutely a crucial part of racing. I think if you're the fastest guy out there but you can't pass, I don't think it means anything. Versus if you're a guy who doesn't have that much speed but he can really work a race and has strategy, I think that's a huge play. It's much harder to do that than just being quick, but having the mindset and the skills to be able to get around people, and then even though you're slower, keep them behind you is a huge skill, and not everybody has that, and it's not just given to you. It's something you have to learn. So I 100% think defending is a big part of racing, and I think it needs to remain in racing. But then again, I think, there's times where it can go too far. So it's kind of defining that line, I guess.
All right, that's fair. That's absolutely fair, and I agree. It's an art to defend and still go fast and make lap time is an art. And go ahead, Hendrik or Hank. I'll let you go ahead and answer that in your own words.
I agree with Jameson as well. I think knowing how to really race and pass and keep people behind you is a really big part of racing, and is a crucial part to know to actually, get far. I'll put it like that.
How do you guys think that the kids nowadays would fare with, like, if we did inverts? Do you guys think you guys would be okay if we did like an invert? Like, say, I don't know if you guys are from the days of us. Okay, when we used to show up to the races when I was your guys' age and we ran at our home club, we didn't have transponders. We didn't have qualifying even. Literally, you'd show up, everybody would be in line for registration. There was one poor lady like Ashley filling out all these forms, and every time you fill the form, you put your hand into a bucket and you pulled out this little tab, and it had a number on it between 0 and 100, and she would write your number on your text sheet. Right? And then they took and they sorted those numbers for after the first 2 heat races. They sorted those numbers, and that's how you started the first round of heats. Right? And then literally, like, if you drew a 1, you would start pole for the first heat race, and if you drew 100, you would start last for the first heat race. Wherever you started in the first heat race was a complete invert for the second heat race, and that set your grid for the final. And for me, it taught kids how to pass. It taught me how to pass, exactly. And I've heard other people's defense. It taught you how to be passed. Mm-hmm. I think that's a bigger thing nowadays, right? I think it's not so much that people don't know how to pass, in my opinion. I think it's more people don't understand how to be passed and when to essentially give up and understand that you've been passed. We've all been put in that situation as a racer, right? Jameson, Hank, Jason. I mean, Ashley, you don't drive as much, but you've all been put in that situation where somebody gets under you and they own the apex and they're going to own the exit, and you have to decide if you want to try to hang out there and put yourself in that situation or not. And I think that's more the lost art, not so much racecraft and respect, right?
I mean, I'm going to be the old guy in the room because I have a hard time watching. I have a hard time announcing. I have a hard time enjoying white line racing. And I've talked to a couple of very respected people in the industry about it. And we can do devil's advocate. I hate it. I don't even think it's racing. It's the first guy out front, drive around. You can't touch him because of the pushback bumper. I hate white line racing. I do acknowledge it does require a certain amount of skill to do it as well. I mean, it's still racing, but I love the crossovers. I love, a little bit of, are you guys going to hint on the whole Musgrave bailiff thing or no?
I mean, we can. I mean, we talked.
I really don't want
a little bit of I don't want to just throw out their names or anything, but I did hint to it last week a little bit.
Okay. I mean, to me, I watched it and it's just like, to me, that was hard racing. Billy didn't get blasted out of the way. To me, it almost looked like he parked it a little bit more than Bailiff, being kind of the rookie in the class, was expecting. But it didn't shake his head back or anything else. It's like, okay. But to me, that's probably about the limit of being rough. And I also don't like the racing or any sport where the idea is you put it in the official's hands. To me, that's no longer a sport. It's like, I can go blast somebody off the track. Maybe they won't see me. If they do, I'll go plead my case and let the official decide. I don't really care for that type of racing either.
Do you guys have an opinion before I respond? I'll give you guys the floor. Either one of you guys, Jameson, go ahead. You're shaking your head like you want to say something.
Yeah, I absolutely do have an opinion on that. So I think to kind of go off I think, Jason, you mentioned there, holding the outside and some of that stuff. I don't think that you should be allowed to just push someone off if they're on the outside. That's not something that I stand for in racing. I think you should be able to hold an outside move. I think a lot of people, look at Formula One as the pinnacle of motorsports, and whenever they see, if you're ahead at the apex, that means you get to push the guy off the track. I think that stems the whole way down in motorsport because it's the pinnacle. Anybody else who watches it or views it or drives below is going to. That's an example. That's set as an example whether they want it to be or not. So I think karting has definitely evolved now into like a if you're on the outside, you just get pushed off. I'm 100% not for it, but I have to race people that way. If you go to a national event and you are letting people hang around your outside, you're not going to have a good race. You're just not, and that's not how the rules state. So if somebody tries to hold you outside at a national or bigger event, or even at Sonoma, you have to put them in the dirt. It's kind of how it runs. You don't give them room. I don't think it's how it should be, but it's how the rules are written, and it's how everybody else plays. And if you don't play by everybody else's rules, then you're not going to finish well.
If you're on the outside, you're going in the dirt.
And Hank?
I couldn't have said it better than Jameson.
So you agree? You think that if you get to the inside of somebody and they want to hang around the outside of you, that essentially you're not required to leave them. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate to both of your guys' opinion here because this is a discussion. So you're saying that you're not required to leave them racing room on the exit of the corner, right? Like, so at what point, if you put yourself on the outside and somebody gets to the inside of you, let's just say you go down into Buttonwillow turn 1. We've all driven at Buttonwillow, and somebody comes to your inside and you want to just hang on the outside of them to try to drag race them up to the last corner and at least try to push them down to kill their run off into the bowls. Right? Because you're not just thinking as a racer, we all know we're not just thinking in the moment. We're all trying to think one corner ahead, right? So now somebody gets to your inside and automatically your brain goes, okay, he's there, but there's another, if I lift, I'm getting passed again when I go into the corner because chances are there's another person behind me, right? You race Briggs, you race KA. So chances are when one guy goes, another guy's going. So as a racer, right, you're going to naturally say, okay, I'm going to try to hang the outside on this guy. And what you guys are telling me is now if that guy decides he's going to hang the outside, you shouldn't be required to leave him any chance to race you. Is that how you want to be raced in the contrary position? Now go ahead and answer. Hank, go ahead.
I don't know as necessarily just put them straight into there. I believe give them some racing room, but not like enough to just let them repass you, but give them room to not have to exit the track.
Yeah. So not essentially drive them off the track, but not run them, but essentially leave them enough real estate where they have to essentially make a decision.
Yeah.
Fight for it.
Yeah. And do you feel that's the same way you would describe it, Jameson?
I mean, I would say I'm 100% on the side of I think it should be that way, and I think you should have to leave people room, and I think outside passes are a beautiful thing, and I think they can be executed very well. But the bottom line is at all these national events, nobody's treating anyone that way. So if you want to show up and be Mr. Nice Guy, good for you. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings, but your people are still going to put you in the dirt. People are still going to rough you up. And it doesn't matter how you, at some like level at a club race, you have that, oh, I remember that guy. He drives me clean. I'm going to respect him. Mm-hmm. At national events, chances are they don't even know your name. They don't know anything about you. You're just another person in their way, and they're going to race you the same. So I 100% am on the side of shouldn't be that way, but this is how it is. And if you're going to be the nice guy, you're not going to finish well.
Well said. Well said, Jameson. I mean, that's the truth. Well said. Go ahead, Jason. Come on. I see your hand up there.
Well, it's kind of it's racing, so it's not cut and dry, right? Every scenario is a little different. If I do agree that outside passes, and we had a lot of that racing at ROK Sonoma this weekend, of too wide going down into tic-tac-toe. I don't really recall many blatant, hey, you're off the track type maneuvers at all throughout the whole weekend. But I will say is if you're on the inside and the driver is not there on the outside, you should be able to utilize the track to your natural momentum. You shouldn't have to pinch off your momentum going, especially in the momentum classes like Briggs and Tag. Now, if there's somebody there and you don't need to pinch your momentum and you can go by side, that's great racing. But it's also up to the person on the outside to realize I'm not in the best position here. I'm trying a pretty ballsy move that has a very low percentage of success. And that doesn't account for anyone flying over a corner on the inside and plowing somebody's side pod. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about the natural progression of, hey, this is a normal racing line. You want to stay out there, and now you're on the outside trying to pinch me down and scrub my momentum.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's good.
But if you're going to fly over a corner and then side pod somebody, there's probably going to be a pushback bumper penalty on my cart.
Yeah. All right. So now
All right, guys. So our original discussion was going to be about the flag etiquette. Do we want to hit that topic? I know we have a couple questions in the comments we can go through as well.
Let's do the questions, and then I'm curious about the flag etiquette.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question we have, Jameson, have the tires felt different from ROK Vegas to now?
As in Levantos, I'm guessing is the question, as that was the tire we tried at Sonoma and at Vegas. I was actually a bit confused with the tires this weekend at Sonoma. One of my sets barely needed to be balanced at all. It was pretty much set to go, only had a wheel weight or two. Versus one of my other sets had a lot of wheel weights on my front left, and we struggled with a lot of vibration and balancing the tires throughout the weekend. So that is definitely something that I noticed more than any other weekend. But in general, I'd say the tires felt pretty soft this weekend, felt grippy. We struggled, I'd say, a lot of the weekend with being over gripped, and so we kept having to pull grip out of it. But then you're getting to that point at the end of the day when the track falls off. Are you going to pull too much grip out and now you're too loose? So it's a sketchy line to be on. But yeah, I'd say tires were very grippy this weekend. Kind of hard to compare it to Vegas as you're in a parking lot versus a real racetrack, but yeah.
All right, we're gonna transition into. Okay, so Ridgely commented back. Noticed that as well. Okay, then we're gonna get Gage's comments. Have you seen improvement in yourselves in the past races? We'll give that to Hank and Jameson, and then Mike Dean's gonna start us off with the flag topic. So back to we'll do Gage's question for Hank and Jameson, and then we'll get into the flag topic. All right. Go ahead.
I'll answer for Jameson. I've been calling races for him for at least a year, right?
What was that, sorry?
I'm going to answer for you. I've probably called races for you for about a year, and I have definitely seen an improvement in your driving, your consistency. This weekend, you were a contender right there at the front.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I 100% feel the same way.
Can you say how seat time has helped your improvements?
So I have definitely seen seat time is a lot of it. I have seen a lot of improvements since I have also been racing at Prairie City Karting Racing Association. And over the last year, my skill level has gone up a whole notch because it's a lot more seat time there, a lot harder track than what I'm used to, and overall a lot more harder competition than what I'm used to.
All right. So we are going to transition into our original topic. Mike Dean's going to kick us off. So we are going to be talking about how understanding how the flags work and why that consistency is essential. But we're going to be breaking down a key moment that a few of us witnessed over the past weekend and discussing how it applies to racecraft and etiquette. Josh and I discussed this topic on the way home, and we both sort of have differing but the same opinions, like different answers, but we feel are the same. So let's get into it. Josh, you want to start us off with setting the scene, or
I think I'm going to set the scene since Hank kind of understands the scenario for the. I'm going to set the scene for Tucson because most of us know Tucson, most of our people on our panel, and it's one of our Challenge of the Americas tracks. So let's just say you're coming down the last straightaway at Tucson, coming to the checkered flag, okay, and entering the last set, which I believe would be turn 12 and 13, coming to the checkered would be the left, right, okay. There is an accident from the previous lap. Okay, there's waving yellow flags there. You are the leader, okay, coming down the back straightaway. You put your hand up, acknowledging the yellow flag, lift, break some sort of momentum, okay, pass the incident, resume racing at full throttle, and the two go-karts behind you did not. They came through there, never lifted, never cracked the throttle, and by the time you guys got to the start-finish line, they beat you. You finished second.
Yeah.
How do you work that, right? And the way the rule is written is when a yellow flag is displayed, okay, you can't pass until after you've passed the incident for which the yellow flag is being displayed. And that is exactly what this individual did. He waited until after he passed the incident and then pulled down and passed them. The problem I have is the leader clearly put his hand up and acknowledged the waving yellow flag in the incident, and the other two cars didn't. Is that something in etiquette? Or is that something in acknowledgement of flags? And I'm going to let Hank start, and then we're just going to go down. We'll go with Jameson, and then following up with Jason.
I think it's more of an acknowledgement of flags, because if the person in first acknowledged it, clearly put their hand up and let go of the throttle for a second before resuming, and the past two didn't, it's unfair, and it's just ignoring the flag, essentially.
Okay.
That was, yep.
Jameson?
Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. It's really tricky. But I think I'm going to have to kind of be in the middle here, as much as I don't want to be. But I think oftentimes it kind of matters if where you are and how the drivers around you are reacting to yellow flags and whatnot. There's been fields that I've been in where everybody's lifting, putting their hand up, being super respectful, riding the outside line if someone's on a curb, staying away from. That's awesome. That's how it should be. That's how yellow flags should be treated. But then, there's other environments, like, for example, when I was at ROK Vegas, you see a yellow flag, you pretty much are like, cool, I'm going to look for an incident. If it's not in my way, I'm just going to keep driving. Because if you live there, you're just getting blown by about like 10 people. So it just totally depends by like where you are. So I wasn't there. I'm not sure how big the field was. I don't know what kind of event it was. But yeah, it's really tricky to say, does that qualify as passing under yellow? Or is that, oh, I just got to run from yellow and passed him outside of it? Like, it's tricky for sure.
It's tricky. Go ahead, Jason.
I have nothing to add to what they just said, with the exception of it starts at the top.
Yeah.
It starts with the organization. It starts with the crew.
Now, go ahead.
That's where it starts. You go to different races, and racers are going to adjust their strategies depending on how rules are called or anything else. To me, when it's a yellow flag, there needs to be a yield. There should be a rule that we need to physically see your hand, and we need to physically see you yield. And in the type of karting that we do, we're going to pull your GPS. We'll just look at the accelerometer. Did you yield? If it needs to go to that. But there's a reason we have corner workers. There's a reason we have yellow flags. It's for the safety of the staff and the racers. So it needs to be respected. And again, I have nothing to add to what Jameson said, because he's 100% right. You go to some tracks and if I don't acknowledge the staff, if I don't do certain things, I will be penalized. And he's 100% right. You go to other associations or tracks or whatever, and it's like, why have a yellow flag? Like, why bother?
Yeah. No, and that's that. I'm 100% on board with you, man. Like, and I was gonna lead me to my next point, but we're running kind of long here. How do we change that? How do we change that mentality moving forward? But I mean, I'll give you guys some time to think about that, and maybe some of our guests, and we'll have you guys back on and we'll talk about it. But I mean, I think for me, that's the big thing. And to echo what you guys said, is it's exactly that. Like, I think as sanctioning bodies and even as racers, I think we all kind of got to get on the same page that yellow flags are being displayed for a reason, right? Red flags nowadays are more common than they were, say, 5 years ago, right? And that's not because of something in the go-karts are changing or we're any wider. We had plastic bumpers 5 years ago, guys, and we did not have as many red flags at races as we do now. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, so I think a lot of it is that mentality. And again, this is just my rant. And it's like you said, Jameson, like, there are some races you go to and you see the yellow flag and you put your hand up and you crack the throttle and you acknowledge it. But there are some series when you don't. You're just like, I'm going to stay wooded and I'm just going to, like you said, I'm going to look up. I'm going to see if there's anything in my direct line of sight and hope for the best that on these blind corners there's not.
I would be 100% for a strong policy. Is like, if you come to a yellow flag incident and you create more carnage, you're done for the weekend.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. Is if there's a go-kart wiped out in the barrier, say we've seen these videos from Supernats, and you just come through these blind S's full wood, and there's clearly waving yellow flags, and then you clip his tire and you flip again and you flip into pit exit. Well, you know what, buddy? Like, you're done for the weekend. Like, yeah, like there has to be some sort of repercussion for it. And I mean, that's just my opinion, because I think we're all in agreement that it's not right. None of us agree that that's the correct thing to do, but unfortunately, it's how you have to race now, and it's how you have to be.
Well, but the yellow is there for when the yellow is displayed, you have to be able to safely navigate without adding to the problem.
Yeah. No,
right.
So I am going to bring up Mike's comment. If it was a single flag, but in this case, there were two flags creating a zone where it happened. In that case, I would reference the rule where it says if the pass is initiated approaching a yellow flag, the attacking driver must yield and not complete the pass. that is in the rule book, reading it directly out of there. Unfortunately, I didn't see it, so I can't say that that's the argument I would have made. But if I would have seen it in that capacity, I guess then that's where I would have gone. Is there anything you want to add before we close out? I'm going to go through the comments again, but
shout outs.
Yeah, let me see. So we got Cravino. Jackson wants to come on to NorCal Mondays. Let's do it.
Yeah,
and it's not Cravenho, it's Cravino.
Cravino.
I knew that because that's my homie from Prairie City. You didn't know that.
I didn't know.
We'll definitely get Jackson on. We'll get Hank back too. They're both some
great we got our friend. We might be doing a transition from karts to cars show because our boy Ridgely Welsh is also talking about wanting to come on and do that. And maybe we can I'll see if we can reach out to Scotty H and Jaden Conray, and maybe that'll be a panel show that we can do.
And touching on what we talked about earlier, Jameson, like if you start doing some car stuff, I'd love to hear your feedback too, and just how you transition it to the cars and whatnot, and how it applies. Just
one thing I would like to add is actually this Thursday I'm taking my car out on Thunder Hill and getting the
let's go.
Excited.
I'm also going out this weekend to go to Thunder Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be a few of them at Thunder Hill. Ridgely, put it in the comments if you're going to be at Thunder Hill too with the squad. But we got He's siding with Hank on this. We see your comments. What do you want us to post? All right, shout outs. Let's go around. Everybody can shout out their team, where you're going to be racing next, and we'll get you guys all back on for maybe put it in the comments if you want to transition from karts to cars show. So
I don't want to transition. I'm pretty happy with myself.
All right, Jason. Then you can talk about where you're going to, or what you ate at Sonoma. Okay, but you'll go last. All right, here we go. Starting with Hank Webster. Go ahead, give us your shout outs. Where are you going to be racing next?
I'm going to be at Thunder Hill this weekend, and then the weekend after, I'm going to be racing at Prairie City Kart Racing Association.
There you go.
All right, and shout outs. Who's your team? Who's your who you're running with this year? Stuff like that. If you want to thank anyone.
Mom, Dad.
Yeah, thank you to my parents.
Miranda, VLR.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, VLR as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us, Hank, and hanging out. You can stay on as we close. Jameson, go ahead and give us your shout outs. Good night. Shout outs, and where are you gonna be racing next?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, shout out GFC Karting. They're the place to be if you're getting into karting, especially 2-stroke or 100cc or maybe mini. So 100% talk to them. Try to get a weekend with them if you can. Second of all, probably my mechanic this weekend, Grant. You did a great job. Kart was on rails all weekend. And then as far as my sponsors, I'd like to thank GoPro, OGO Power Sports, and Bordonia Racing Engines for getting all my equipment and keeping me on the racetrack.
Right on.
Oh, and then next place I'll be racing is ROK Sonoma and Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma. So a lot of Sonoma stuff coming up.
All right. Dang, Bordonia is like an old friend of ours too, so that's tight.
He's pretty awesome.
He is. Dang, that is so. That's like a throwback right there for a second. Okay, Jason, where are you gonna be at? Where are you gonna what did you eat at Sonoma over the weekend, and where are you gonna be at next?
I have to look at the calendar to see where I'm going. For sure, ROK Sonoma for the next race. I could bring that up real quick so I can give a date.
You gonna come make your margaritas out at Challenge for the night, and we'll do like a NorCal Karters live thing.
The next
to do a NorCal what?
Let's do a NorCal Karters live thing at Challenge, and you can make your margaritas, and you can put your little extra kart parts banner up, and we'll have a little live episode. Me and you, we can walk around the pits.
You know, I did feel a little bit bad. Let's see, April 25th to the 27th at Sonoma. I have to look at my calendar on that weekend. I'm not going to say no. I did feel bad, though, because I did go to Idaho a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to stop by Andy's place, but my plans just got hijacked.
So you went to Idaho and you didn't see Andy? How rude.
Oh, I mean, I was probably – it gets worse. I was probably 12 minutes from his house, so it wasn't even
my
that far out.
goodness.
It was so close, he was telling me the restaurants I should go to. But I was en route, and then we got diverted with the end of the direction. It's like, oh, well. It gives me an excuse to go back up there. I went to a winery, and around the corner from the winery, I stopped by one of the kart tracks. And I didn't realize the kart tracks were like the two on the north end of the valley are like, I don't know, 15 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah.
So that was
Which
cool.
one did you go to?
I'm going to say Snake River, but I don't know.
Oh.
It was closed, and they didn't have a sign out there.
Oh, I was going to say, because our homies at Kart Idaho, we could have hooked you up with that, but
I can look it up on the map, but
yeah. So okay, Josh, go ahead.
you wanted
Shout
to
outs. Where are you gonna be next?
But you said you wanted.
I will be hopefully in Dixon this weekend, brigging a little bit. That's kind of the plan, low key. Not confirmed yet. It's all tentative. NorCal Karters will be out there filming and doing stuff at the Gold Rush race at Dixon. Want to give a shout out to the people that helped me race. Obviously, NorCal Karters, my wife, Prairie City Karting, bringing go-karts, Gary Haney. Special shout out to everybody at Santa Maria and the Dean family. Mike Dean, Lindsay, Michael, everybody at MD3, Pump Karts. Thank you. I had such a fun time coming and driving the go-kart this weekend. I look forward to doing it again, and hopefully I'll be back out there. I'll see you all in Challenge. If I don't see you in Dixon this weekend, I will see all of you at Challenge of the Americas at the end of the month. So look for me on the ladder. Don't hit me on the ladder, but look for me on the ladder.
Wave it yellow so that way they know to look out for it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Noted.
Me, and I'm like, and I better not see you at Challenge because I'm going to be back in the penalties spot. So
I do want to shout out Jameson and Hank for coming on, though. Thank you guys. You guys were awesome. I valued your guys' input as always. You two are stars, dude. Thank you.
Of course.
Hey, does anyone want to get creative and get some ideas?
Anytime. Thank you guys.
On YouTube.
all right, guys. So as we close out, I do want to remind everybody it's not peer pressure, but it's time to register for Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma. Go ahead and, hey, you better not be talking about VLRs in the comments is all I'm saying, so watch it. But Challenge of the Americas registration is now open. You can go to raceselect/CODA 2025 or challengekarting.com and do that because we will be there and we are calling you out. So, yes, reminder, we have Colby Dubato Memorial Race is going to be happening again this August at with CCKRA, and We are confirmed to give out the $5,000 prize in Senior 206, and we are going to be doing another senior cash prize as well. I don't know the total of it now, but we are going to be doing prizes for both senior and for sure the $5,000 in 206. So go ahead and follow CCKRA on Facebook, Instagram, and cckra.com for more info about the Colby Dubato Memorial Race to celebrate Colby's birthday again this year in August. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a great night. I am going to close out with my tagline being, if you want to come on my show, let's do it. And I'm going to let Jason, since he's here with all his Jason Berry fans, I'm going to let him close out with his tagline being,
if we all get one person into the sport, we'll double by next year.
All right, guys.
Shock
See
out.
ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Guys.